Hey everyone, it's Olivia again. I might sound a little more quiet now because I'm filming in the early morning my time, and I don't want to disturb my partner, but this is part 2 of all the tarot decks currently in my collection, and I have to use the word currently here because, let's be honest, I know I'm gonna have more. There's some, for instance, I've already backed on Kickstarter, one of which is coming my way, and then a couple of other decks here and there. But anyways, today we're going to start with this deck that I keep in this bag. This tarot deck is an indie deck that you can find on Etsy, and it is called the Tempest Tarot. Some of you might have seen this deck, but I've only seen it in a couple places. Like, I know Luminaria Star has it, but I haven't seen very many other people. The Tempest Tarot is a nautical themed tarot deck. I'll be honest, okay, I don't completely use this deck as often as I should, even though it's nautical themed, which is something I love, and it has the right amount of nauticalness for me. And the biggest drawback, of course, to that, like why I don't use it very much, is as you can see, this deck utilizes a lot of white space, but I'm kind of like, why? Why does it have so much white in it? Like this card, for instance, like why didn't it have more brown? Why don't the cards look more like this? I'd prefer if they look more like this, but they don't. I've been tempted to color in parts of this deck, but then if I did that, I would never be able to rehome it. So I don't know. This deck puts me in a weird space like this, for instance. It's like, why doesn't this have more color? Like, couldn't you have colored the water at least? Or maybe the sky and his pants? I don't know. So it's like weirdly colored. I kind of hope the artist, creator, does a different version of this deck where she colors in more of it, because then I would use it all the time. But as is, like this even, this would be more impressive if it had more color to me. For that reason, I don't pick this deck up as often as I should, and it's also kind of as you can see, it's kind of a big deck, like thick. The cardstock is thicker. So it's just not something I reach for all the time. But I love that it's nautical themed, so that's why I keep that one around. Next up, I'm going to go with these two. Oops, sorry, moving my camera. I'm going to go with these two, and I feel like that I have to talk about them together. This is the Transient Light Tarot and Trinity Tarot, both by Ari. I'm pretty sure it's Ari Wisner, unless it's Wisner, but I'm inclined to say Wisner. I don't know. If I butchered a name, I'm sorry. Putting these together because I have two decks from the same creator. I should point out, I think I prefer this deck more than this deck, and I'm going to show you why. So this deck is another square deck. I know I have like two of these. No, I lie. Sorry. I have three of these. One is an oracle, and then the other is these. These are the backs on this one. And I kind of prefer this deck over the Transient Light because this deck has more color variety in it, even though it's white space, which is something again, not really a fan of. I don't like white as much as a color in general. Has a guidebook, has like these, oops, see, I'm going to just show a peek of it. It has these extra cards that say past, present, future. I just kind of keep those in the back because I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with them. But yeah, these are the two decks. They're both gender neutral decks, which I appreciate as someone myself who's non-binary. I like that the creator has taken the time to, decenter people and decenter like the genderedness of tarot, because let's be honest, even though tarot cards are archetypes, they have a very gendered very gendered archetypes. So these decks don't focus on that, which I love, right? It's more on symbols to get the meanings. So I like both of these decks. What kills me is that I kind of prefer what's being drawn in this deck over this one, but I like the color scheme of this one more than this one, because this color scheme is very, as you can see, it kind of gets monochromatic. It's just like the same over and over again, whereas this has more variety in colors. So I don't know. I'm not satisfied completely either way with either of these decks in some ways. Oops, this one's like weird angle. So I don't always reach for these as often. And see, there's keywords that are changed. So crown is supposed to be for king. Apprentice is for page. They rechanged the names on them. And this one, I don't know how I feel about the way this one looks. This gives off very US vibes, which is kind of weird because the creator is in the UK. But anyways, yeah. These are the Trinity Tarot and the Transient Light Tarot. Both are interesting decks, but again, there's things about both of them that make it that I don't always reach for them as much as I could. But let me take these out of the way. Sorry. Okay. Next two up. What do I want? I think oops, once again, moving my camera tripod here. This is not the greatest setup, but I don't really know what would be better. Next deck I'm going to do is this one. Edmund DuLac. This is a tarot deck from Los Scarabeo. You can tell because, you know, all the countries featured on the back. It's a tuck box, so, and not even the greatest tuck box, because this looks like it's gonna like pull off at any time. But I'm obsessed with this deck. These, oops, there's a couple cards. I'm just gonna leave them in there. They have these beautiful backs. And I first saw this deck actually on Thea of the Garden Goddess Tarot. I saw it on her channel and I was obsessed. I just love the backs. Love the artwork. Maybe I can temporarily zoom in so you can look at it a little better. Like the Edmund DuLac's art is so detailed. So beautiful. Just like really interesting color schemes. Like, look at that. For the 5 of Pentacles. See the little, like, I don't know, it's like a spirit or ghost person in there. It's just so beautiful. But I don't know if my camera will pick this one up. So I love reaching for this deck. It's also a good size for me because it's a little bigger, I think, than tarot size. So it's slightly longer than it is wide. And so it's a little thinner on the sides, but I love it. And it's like kind of thinner. If you were someone who riffled shuffled, you would probably really like this deck. But I don't riffle shuffle, but it's still a great shuffle. Stunning artwork. I love that it's more fantasy focused. Because that's something I just love. That's my aesthetic. So I really love this deck. I don't foresee it leaving my collection anytime soon. It's a really great one, and I do recommend it if you like Edmund DuLac's art style. Taking this out of the way now. And my scarf is not liking this area very much. Okay. Next deck up is, ooh, maybe I'll go with this one. This is the Smoke, Ash, and Embers deck. A lot of you have probably seen this deck around. I know it's made the rounds because these are the same creators who also do the Oak, Ash, and Thorn deck. By the way, it's not in my collection currently, but I did pre-order the mini version of the Oak, Ash, and Thorn. So that'll come to me sometime. I don't know. I think it's actually soon, but I don't know when soon. That's coming to me. But they're a really great tarot company. As you can see here, they're carbon neutral, solar power, vegetable-based inks. So they want to be very responsible in their printing. I made this tuck box a little easier to take these out by taking out, there's like a couple of extra cards and I pushed them off to the side because they make it too hard. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out again so you guys can see this a little better. These are the beautiful backs. I love this deck because, again, fantasy related, dragon related. Love dragons. Dragons are one of my favorite things in fantasy. I feel like, though, what's interesting is, even though I love dragons, I only reach for this deck during the daytime. Actually, maybe I shouldn't be saying that yet because I might be doing one of those tarot to the extreme VRs soon. But it's true. I do only really reach for this deck during the daytime. I don't know why. It just gives me better daytime vibes. And because it's dragons for some reason, as much as I love dragons, for some reason, it does make it a little harder for me to read sometimes, which is interesting. I wonder if that means, even though I love, 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 love the art of this deck and the fact that it's dragons, maybe, oh, these are the two. That's where they went. They come with these little cards instead of a guidebook. There's a digital guidebook when you buy it, though. But anyways, what was I saying? I feel like even though I really, 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 really love this deck and love dragons, because it's harder for me to read with sometimes, I do wonder if I will end up rehoming this deck to either somebody who would get more of a kick out of it than me, or I have one of my best friends really loves dragons, so I might also give the deck to him one day. But we'll see. For now, it's still in my collection, and I'm really excited for the mini Oak, Ash, and Thorn, because I think that deck, based on what I've seen of it, will probably work better for me in particular, and my practice. Sorry. Almost cannot talk today. Next one. The Spacious Tarot. Oh my goodness. I love this deck. I just got this not just got this. I got this maybe a month or two ago when the newest edition came out with this expansion pack. I keep the expansion pack with the actual deck. This is the guidebook it comes with. It's a pretty chunky one and has this cool labeling on the side so you can see, right, how things are. I like this guidebook. Even comes with the expansion one. I keep it all together in this box, even though it's like so massive now. The expansion pack and this deck are absolutely beautiful. These are the simple and beautiful backs, right? Cardstock I like. It's like on the thicker side and it's smooth, but I don't think it's matte. But the only flaw with it, as you can see, I've barely worked with this deck and it's already getting like slightly worn. So I don't know what kind of cardstock they use, but it'll definitely become a disheveled deck pretty quickly. But this deck is stunning. If you, again, like decks where there's not really people in them and it's more about the symbology and images inside of it, you will really appreciate this deck. It's like a hug deck. It's very comforting. This is one of the expansion pack cards, Libra. Beautiful, the Monarchs. I really like this one. There's an air, another expansion card, another expansion card. See, so they're all kind of like mixed in. Oh, or maybe not as mixed in as I thought. There's Scorpio. Oh, Ace of Wands. There you go. But for some reason, I know some people have a really hard time with this deck, but this one actually works for me. I can tell immediately what the cards are about. So I guess that's how you know it's right for me. But really good deck. Really nice seeming creators. I cannot recommend this one enough if this is your vibe. But next, because I need to be quicker with this. Remember, I can't, my camera hates me if I do long videos. the next deck I want to show, and then I'll do, there's only 3 more after this one. This deck. The Lord of the Rings Tarot deck and guide by the infamous Insight Editions. I say infamous because if you know Insight Editions at all, or any of the decks that they've come out with, their decks tend to be very, what's the word? Oh yeah, pippish. They're pippish in nature. So not always great. This is the sides. I love the art though of this deck. Has a good keyhole on the side, so it makes it easy to pop out. Comes with this crazy monstrosity. Oh man, I feel like I need to zoom out just so you can see how ridiculous this kind of is. Oh, there we go. You got to see how ridiculous this is. So for the Lord of the Rings Tarot, it comes it comes in like this thing, which, oof, it's not even letting me. Here we go. It comes out with a whole thing like this, which is not like the easiest to read with. So I'm kind of like, okay, thanks. I don't know how this does for beginners. You know what I mean? Like how is this convenient? But it's like, I know it's to go with like a mappy fantasy feel as the Lord of the Rings is. It's just not, I don't know. I don't know if this completely works for them as a design choice. But this is the Lord of the Rings Tarot. This is probably the only, to be honest, this is probably the only Insight Editions deck I will ever get, because I've said it in my other video, but I'm not a fan of pip decks. And this one 100% is. I'm going to zoom back in because my camera hates the quality of trying to zoom out. I don't know why. It's so weird. Anyways, this is the deck. I love the artwork though, but it is 100% a pip deck. And the only reason why I own this deck, of course, is because I am a massive Lord of the Rings fan. I love fantasy, once again, so this is my brand. It's a pip style deck, and they're not illustrated in such a way that you can really tell the meaning of them. Only this one makes sense. And this only makes sense if you freaking read the books, or, yeah, really only if you've read the books. Because you're just like, who the heck are all 3 of these? Well, you get the sense that that's Sauron, that's Gandalf, and this one I'm pretty sure is supposed to be Radagast, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, pip deck. Beautiful art of the depictions of things, but yeah, not the greatest. I mean, great art, but I don't like this. I don't like this. I know I'm picky. I'm sorry, but I don't like this. But because it's the Lord of the Rings, I had to own it. If I ever get tired of the fact that this is a pip deck, though, I know the perfect person who this deck will go to, and it'll be my sister. These are the beautiful backs, though. I really like the look of this for the most part. But yeah, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, it is a really cool looking deck. It's just a shame that it's a pip. Insight Editions really, really, really needs to step up their game and do something better, because it's just, I don't know, it's just lazy. It's just lazy. But anyways, that's the Lord of the Rings Tarot. I only have 3 more to show. 2 of them are really tiny, so I'm going to go with the one that's not tiny first. The Wonderworld Tarot. This is, oops, where is it? This is a Push Kitty creation deck. She tends to do a lot of, these are the backs. She tends to do a lot of, like, fandom style decks. It comes with this cool magnetic closure box. But, as you can see, as soon as you open it up, oh yeah, it doesn't have a guidebook. So, this deck is not beginner friendly. This is what the inside of the box looks like, though. It's not beginner friendly. And while I love the art, this deck is on rose petal finish, which means when I touch it, 100% beautiful, beautiful. And it has a good thickness to the cardstock for me. These are the backs, by the way. Beautiful. The problem is when you go to shuffle them at all, like if you were going to riffle shuffle, I don't know how you would do it. Even overhand, if I go overhand, as you can see, look at it. It's like it won't let go. The cards do not let go of each other. This is a really bad rose petal finish. I've heard that some decks have less of one than this deck, maybe. But anyways, not to detract, this deck is beautiful. The art is just really fun and funny, and a really good Alice in Wonderland feel. Like this deck definitely captures like the chaos of Wonderland while also poking fun and being like whimsical, because that's really what an Alice in Wonderland deck should be. Alice in Wonderland is one of my favorite books, so I really like that I have this deck in my possession. I just don't care for the rose petal finish. So that's just my 2 cents. But anyways, let's get on quicker because I'm, spending too much time. This is, this deck is a baby. Look it. I have really small hands, but it fits them. So like even smaller than my hand. This is the Monsoon Tarot. I recently backed this on Kickstarter. So I am deck number 145 of 1588, I guess. It comes in this little tuck box because I got the mini. There's no guidebook, and I don't mind because, as you'll see with these cards, they can be read very intuitively. These are the backs. Now, the only thing that I find kind of weird is like it was almost promised online that the edges of these backs would have been like a gray instead, but I think that's only if you get the normal size. So I guess not for the mini. Let me zoom in a little bit more because you'll want to see this art up close. This deck is so beautiful, so airy and watery. It's like a good combination of both. The Monsoon Tarot takes place in like this dreamland that almost feels like stuff that I've dreamt before. So I really like this deck. This is like my vibes. This is fantasy and dreamlike and surreal and like kind of bizarre. But I immediately get the meaning of the cards from this. Oh, they are renamed by element instead of by like pentacles, swords, stuff like that. This deck is so beautiful. It's on, for mini deck, it has really good cardstock, it feels like for me. It's like good thickness, but it's linen, and just so you can see the linen. I just love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I feel like I'm going to be using this deck more next month in the winter time, but I am so excited to work with it because it's so cute and little. And I just love, I don't know, I'm sorry, I have smaller hands. I love smaller decks. They work for me. So with that train of thought going, smaller decks, this is the last deck I'm going to show for this video. The Linestrider Tarot Mini by Shiloh Thompson. This is mass market, Llewellyn deck. It only cost me $11.99 US. This deck also does not come with a guidebook for being a mini. And I think the only reason why this deck works for me, because again, I've said it now a couple times, I think, in this video, I don't like white space very much. But the reason why this deck works for me is because it's a mini. I don't know how, oh, sorry, these are the backs. The cardstock is kind of smooth, but it's not high gloss, so I appreciate it. Like, it's a good smoothness. That's not offensive for me. These are the backs. But anyways, the only reason why this deck works for me is because it's a mini. I don't like a lot of white space, but this is the right amount because it's tiny too. I can still get all the details. It works well. I'm not also a fan. This deck has more nudity in it, just like the mermaid, the Seaborn Kipper from Shiloh also is. But oh, I love this card. This is probably one of my favorite Nine of Wands. Oh, so cute. The artwork on this deck, though, is stunning, which is why I kept eyeing it for a while. But then when I realized there was a mini version of this deck, I was like, okay, it's my calling. It's my time. It's time to finally have this deck in my collection. I I am also more likely to keep a deck if it's tiny because, again, it takes up less space. I have smaller hands. It works for me. The artwork of this deck is really stunning. So if you're someone like me who doesn't like a lot of white space and you're like, I don't know, maybe I don't want this. I don't know if I would stay in my collection very long. I would highly recommend getting the mini because that just makes it feel almost like a different deck. Like I almost kind of ignore all of this because it's so tiny and I just see the details of this. But that's just my opinion, right? And yeah, I do like this deck though. I like the art. And as standing, I feel like I went through those quickly, but also for a good reason because again, my phone hates when my videos go on too long. But these are all the current decks I have in my collection. Like I said, I know there's at least 3 to 4 decks that will eventually come to me, and when those do, I'll do unboxing videos of those. But they are eventually going to be in my collection. But for now, these are all the decks that I have. I hope you guys like them. I hope if you were thinking about getting some of these decks, maybe you will pick them up because I do like these for the most part. There's some that I'm 100% definitely more picky on, but I still recommend them to people, you know. None of these decks, I don't buy a deck if I don't think other people should own it too. So at least at one point in time, you know, I want all these decks. And next video I will be doing will actually be all the decks that are currently in my purgatory box, as they say. These are decks that either don't fit in, I kind of want to get rid of, but I'm not sure how, or I thought I would like, and then I'm just having issues with right now, so I'm shoving them away. But yeah, anyways, I will see you all again next time. Enjoy. Bye.